West of Asheville in Haywood County. Taggart, good to see you. What are you seeing there tonight?
Kenny and Christine, good to see you both. Yeah, well, we know that assistance is coming in from other counties. I have to tell you, we've been out throughout the afternoon. We have seen homes that are destroyed here as that search continues for those people who are missing. And to tell you, we heard from the officials in emergency management. We also heard from the sheriff, and what we heard from them was essentially that in some cases here, we're talking about the cell phone service being out, but that search, as I mentioned, it is a coordinated effort happening with different counties here. The sheriff really with a message to people. For one, they want you to stay home if you don't have to be out. And here's what else he had to say. And we are actually, as we come back out here again in Waynesville, the search really kind of continuing for the folks who are missing. And we have heard at this point, well, actually, we're going to continue to keep you posted on what we hear now. For now in Waynesville, Taggart Houck, WXII. Yep, thanks.
Taggart, thank you for that live report. And here in the Triad, meantime, a much calmer night ahead after storms moved through yesterday.
Right, thank goodness. Meteorologist Jacqueline Shearer is keeping an eye on things for us tonight. Jacqueline, I know you are rooting for a much calmer night in your world, and so is just about everybody else in the viewing area, aren't they?
Absolutely. This is one of those times where, of course, I'm exhausted from the storms, and I know everyone else back home is too. So I'm happy to show you this image, this look outside right now of just clouds out there, and pretty nice clouds at that. We've got some blue sky and fluffy white clouds. Couldn't ask for much better on a an evening after a very busy one. Here's a look at the Triad forecast overnight. 72 degrees, rain chance 0%. As we're heading through the overnight hours, we stay dry. The foothills also staying dry. Temperatures in the upper 60s. It's still warm and muggy out there. That has not changed. And the foothills in the low 60s there. We've got a gentle breeze, partly cloudy skies, and no rain chances. We could wake up to some fog, but that's about the worst issue, and I think we can handle that. As we're looking outside at live radar, it's a beautiful image here because there's really not much to track right now. By the time we head into the afternoon, we could see a couple scattered showers and thunderstorms. But here's a look at some of those tornado reports that we had yesterday. A lot of these were reported funnel clouds, and most of these tornadoes have now been confirmed by the National Weather Service. So everything that we were watching and everything we were seeing yesterday as far as some of those confirmed reports, looks like it did verify out there. Here's a look at mountains forecast. Now I start with this one because it's the biggest issue for tomorrow. In fact, we've got a couple impact hours with showers and thunderstorms that move in through the afternoon, bring us some storms here. So if you are spending some time recovering right now in the mountains, I just want to let you know that tomorrow we could have some higher rain chances. But for the rest of us, just a couple of scattered showers here and there. Here's the Piedmont forecast, a 20% shower chance, showers and storms getting higher into the later part of the evening. And in the foothills, temperatures getting into the mid 80s, staying humid with a 40% chance for showers and storms. Your 36-hour forecast, I wanted to show you tonight really quickly, this evening, I should say, as we could have a couple of sprinkles here and there, a couple of storms develop perhaps. I'm not expecting anything severe, which I think is really welcome news because some of these areas dealing with some of these showers and storms will be some of the hardest hit yesterday, including on the North Carolina-Virginia state line where we had some very strong severe thunderstorms, a couple of tornado warnings that came out from this area, and a lot of flooding right near Surry County. So Surry and Patrick counties, we could have a couple of showers, maybe a thunderstorm or two, but again, nothing severe expected tonight. As we head into the afternoon tomorrow, still nothing severe expected, but some thunderstorms in the mountains. Actually, by the time it reaches the foothills and the Piedmont, we're just talking about some heavy downpours, maybe the rumble of thunder, but if we even see a thunderstorm, it'll be isolated. So I'm not concerned about a severe threat tomorrow either. We continue on throughout the evening where we've got a couple of showers here and there and some more cloud cover. Temperature is still in that warm to muggy frame here. And I wanted to point to the tropics now, of course, because a tropical system is what caused all of those issues for us the last time around. And Fred and Grace were looking pretty similar for a while. So I wanted to show you what Grace is doing in case you're just hearing this for the first time. It is now a hurricane, a Category 1 hurricane, expected to downgrade to a tropical storm once more as it interacts with land and then re-strengthen into a hurricane hurricane before making landfall in Mexico. So this one ended up taking a very different path by the time it was all said and done from Fred. So no impacts to the Carolinas here. I was telling you about Henri and why I really didn't like the look of this storm, even though we were always forecasting that northerly turn. It's looking like it's happening later and later. And that was my big concern here, because the later it happens, the more of a chance that there's an impact to the Carolina coastline. Not necessarily in terms of wind or even showers and storms, but in terms of rip currents. A Category 1 hurricane that close to the coastline could cause some issues. So I would take heed if you're headed there this weekend. Here's a look at that 7-day forecast. A couple showers and storms and an impact day on Friday because of increased storm chances, but still not expecting anything particularly severe. I will tell you though, if you are recovering, it is going to be pretty hot and humid over the next couple of days. So hopefully you're able to find some cool windows in the morning and evening to do that recovery.
Jacqueline, thank you very much. Good advice. Let's get a first check on traffic now in this 5 o'clock hour. This is a live look down at I-85, right at I-40 in the city of Greensboro. A lot happening here on a Wednesday night. Thankfully, no delays, at least no major ones in any direction.
And still ahead tonight, addicted to smoking and unable to quit. What a new study finds about teens who are trying to kick the habit.
Plus, another major data breach, this one involving T-Mobile. What hackers might have when we return.
WXII 12 News is always available on the free WXII 12 app. Stay connected to Christine Cruz on her Facebook page.
Welcome back, everyone. New research finding that many teenagers are addicted to e-cigarettes and unable to quit. A University of Nebraska study looked at 14,000 middle and high school students. It showed more than half of e-cigarette users wanted to quit vaping. 67% said they'd tried to quit a number of times. Vapers who had seen or heard the Real Cost campaign were more likely to want to quit.
More new research shows eating a diet high in vitamin D could help prevent young onset colorectal cancer. This study was conducted by Dana-Farber's Cancer Institute. Researchers looked at almost 100,000 women. They found those who consumed at least 300 units of vitamin D a day had a 50% reduced risk of colorectal cancer prior to age 50. That's roughly the equivalent of 3 8-ounce glasses of milk. Worried about a spike in violent crime as a new bill heads to the governor's desk. Why opponents say a pistol permit should remain in place.
Lots of beautiful bright blue sky out there as we're taking a look here on your Wednesday evening, the day after a big severe weather threat. We like to see this calm weather. We'll talk about when those showers and storms return coming up.
From WXII 12 News, this is breaking news.
Breaking news, we now know 2 tornadoes touched down in Wilkes County yesterday when Fred moved through.
National Weather Service just released the details about that. 2 tornadoes, both EF0s. The team was there taking a look at all the damage earlier today. An EF0 designation means wind gusts were between 65 and 85 miles an hour. Some of the worst damage we found was in the town of Ronda, where a number of trees were down. There was some minor property damage, siding, roofs ripped off of homes, things like that. The storm did knock down a barn on Klingman Road. Homeowner was grateful that it was, in their words, just the barn.
And we are happy to report there's a much different scene outside tonight.
Yes, indeed. Meteorologist Jacqueline Shear is in for us today. Okay, what does the rest of the night and the rest of the week look like? It's Wednesday, or people are making weekend plans, Jacqueline.
Yeah, we're getting close to that. And if not, they're recovering not only from those tornadoes. Of course, an EF0 is still a tornado, even if it is what they consider to be a weak tornado. No such thing when it causes damage like that, of course. But we've also had some flooding issues over the past couple of days, to say the least. Almost Almost 7 inches of rain fell in the Surrey County, Patrick County area there. All of those oranges and reds in the 3 to 4 to 5 inch range, 6.7 at that point that I queried there. Almost 7 inches down in the mountains there, causing a lot of concerns for flooding there. And now as we're looking outside, we don't have a single thing on radar, at least for our forecast area. This is nice to see. Unfortunately, it won't stay like this all night tonight. We'll get a couple of showers, maybe a weak thunderstorm. Not expecting anything severe today. We could get a few raindrops in the foothills and in the mountains. So here's a look at our forecast for the evening. A very important forecast for those people who need to clean up those backyards from flooding or from those winds. The Piedmont Triad in the 80s as we head through the next couple of hours. By midnight, we're in the upper 70s, mostly clear skies, no rain chances here. The foothills, a 20% chance for some showers and storms as we head through the next few hours. Those chances diminishing as we head into midnight, and in the mountains, a small rain chance as well. A couple showers, maybe a weak thunderstorm. Some downpours possible, but nothing like what we saw yesterday. Nothing we see today or for the rest of the week will be anything like what we saw yesterday, although we do have a couple more rain chances in for our area. We'll talk about those coming up.
Jacqueline, thank you. Gun control advocates calling on lawmakers and the governor to stop the repeal of North Carolina's pistol permits.
That repeal just passed the Senate after earlier clearing the House. It now heads to the governor. Bill O'Neill has the story.
Supporters of the repeal say this law is outdated and that the state should rely on federal background checks. But opponents disagree, pointing to evidence from other states.
The data on pistol permits is clear. That according to the head of Johns Hopkins Center for Gun Violence Prevention and Policy. He says that research shows the homicide rate in Missouri jumped as much as 27% after the state repealed its pistol permits, while Connecticut saw its homicide rate fall by almost the same number when it added a pistol permit requirement.
Very consistently, and in my opinion, compellingly showed the life-saving effect of these types of laws.
For the first time, the North Carolina Sheriff's Association backs the repeal of pistol permits, a process carried out by sheriff's departments. But not all sheriffs are on board.
Mecklenburg, Forsyth, Guilford, Bumpkin, all of us, we don't agree with a lot of things that the association supports.
Law enforcement and gun violence experts weren't the only ones to weigh in during today's virtual news conference.
We strongly support the pistol purchase permitting system. It has been the backbone of public safety for over 100 years.
A member of Moms Rising, an advocacy group focused on issues involving women and families, raises concern over firearms bought at gun shows.
Anyone, even domestic violence abusers, minors, or people experiencing a mental health crisis, could go to Arms List and buy one of those handguns with no questions asked.
The fate of the pistol permit may rest with the governor. The sheriff of Wake County, Gerald Baker, says he is confident the governor will support pistol permits. In Greensboro, Bill O'Neill, WXII 12 News.